Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishadagi Namsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namosude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavani Shri Vishwanasti Devi Pranamami Hari Priyamancha Kalvaruvesha Asindu Devaja Aitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Dinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Shri Ashadadeshtarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, we will wait for some time to Mataji to join back. Till then, let's wait. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. It was a wrong sim. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My screen, not yet. Okay. Hare Krishna, can you all hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, just breaking in the middle.
It's raining here. I have some network issue. Okay, we'll see. So, Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, it's called Rajavidya Rajaguhyam, right? Most confidential knowledge. Why do you think it's called Rajavidya Rajaguhyam? It's a king of the secret. Guhya means the topmost secret. Why? Why did Krishna call it like that? Yes. Why is it said the most confidential, or why is it called the Rajavidya or Rajaguhya?
Because Krishna does not disclose everything to everyone. Only his dear devotees, they get to know his actual truth about him, the supreme.
Okay, and Kanjan Mataji, yes, that's one reason.
Hare Krishna Mataji, it is told it is said most confidential because it explains the difference between soul and the body, which is also discussed in chapter 2. But here, the main purpose, the main service, how soul performs in the transcendental world, it is all explained by Krishna over here.
Yeah, so as Mataji said, we disclose the secret only to our friends. So Arjuna is a friend. So Rajaguhyam, it's a secret, and so it's speaking about how to attain Krishna. Okay, it's about the avidya, the process, how to attain, because the most confidential knowledge means the secret by which we can go back to Krishna. So this chapter explains our relationship with Krishna and also how to achieve that, and the goal of Krishna Prema. So it's the most confidential knowledge in the sense, in Bhagavad Gita, the essence of Bhagavad Gita is in the 9th chapter, 34th sloka, the almost last sloka. Right? Manasi, you know that sloka? The 4 things Krishna says. Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru.
Yes, Mataji. Manmana madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. Mami vaishyasi yuktvaimam atmanam matparayanaha.
Very good. So that's the essence of Bhagavad Gita, saying that how you should worship Krishna, offer obeisances to Krishna, think of Krishna, and become Krishna's devotee. So that's why it's the most confidential knowledge, because Krishna is revealing his heart. He's saying, and that's why you can see 18 chapters, the 9 chapters in the middle, and the ninth chapter, last sloka is almost in the deep middle of the whole Bhagavad Gita. It's like kept very secretly by Krishna, and he's revealing it only to his dear devotees, right? So 1 to 3 sloka is about hearing the most confidential knowledge about Krishna, the qualification and disqualification. 4 to 10 is about the Aishwarya Jnana, the Krishna's relationship with this world. So in the previous sloka, it says Lord worship him through transcendental devotion service or bhakti, and by reviving one's pure devotion, one returns to Krishna. Krishna concluded chapter 8 by explaining how a pure devotee fixes by doing Ananya Bhakti or pure devotional service, and at the time of death, how a pure devotee can go back to Krishna. Okay, so 2 to 6 was about the knowledge of matter and spirit, that is Guhyam. 7 to 8 is about the knowledge of Bhakti, more confidential, Guhyataram. And 9th is the knowledge of Kevala Bhakti, which is most confidential. So 3 things is there in Bhagavad Gita: confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, most confidential. Guhya, Guhyataram, Guhyatamam. Confidential means I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. Okay. More confidential means devotional service is the best thing to do. And Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. And Guhyatamam is Kevala Bhakti, pure devotional service. Okay. Chapter 9 is the most confidential knowledge. And there's a lot of similarity between chapter 7 and 9, because in 7 also the first 2 slokas about hearing about Krishna, and here again it's about Krishna's energy and relationship with the material world, Krishna's all pervasiveness within the world, demigod worship versus Krishna worship, impersonalists versus devotees. So it's just a comparison. So 1 to 3 is about hearing about Krishna. What is the qualification and disqualification to hear about Krishna? Shri Bhagavan Vaja, idam tu guhyatamam pravakshyamene suyave jnanam sahitam yajnatva mokshase ashubhat. The Supreme Personality Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of all the miseries of the material existence. So why Krishna is saying this to Arjuna, he's non-envious, right? Non-envious. And what are the miseries of material existence? What are the miseries? Yes.
Threefold miseries, Mataji.
Yeah, what are they?
Threefold miseries. Adi Devik,
Adhyatma,
Adi Bhautik,
Adhidaivic, and Adhivautik.
And Adhyatmik.
Yeah, let's take from raised hands. Yes, Rachita Mataji, what is Adhyatmik? And Adi Devi.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Adhyatmic means miseries caused by mind and body.
Yes, that's Adhyatmik. And Adi Devik is?
Miseries caused by natural calamities like COVID-19, tsunamis.
Yeah, and what about Adi Baudik?
Adi Bhautik is the miseries caused by other living entities.
Other living entities. Okay, so these are the threefold miseries, right? So by knowing this knowledge, we can overcome the threefold miseries. That's what Krishna says, we get relieved of all the material miseries. That process is called Kleshagni. Okay, Kleshagni means destroying all the material miseries. Pure Bhakti will destroy all the miseries. So it's the most intimate knowledge of the absolute truth, and it's obtained through proper hearing. We should have proper hearing. Okay, and why Krishna is saying this to Arjuna? Because he's non-envious and he had faith. These are 2 qualifications that is required. Should be non-envious of Krishna and have faith. A faithlessness forces one to return to the path of birth and death. So we should put trust and faith in the Krishna's words. So it says, idam te guhyatamam. Guhyatamam means he's most confidential. And why he's saying this? Because he is never envious. And knowledge of pure bhakti or hearing about Krishna, chanting his glories, remembering and serving will actually direct us to realization. And it gets relieved from all the miseries. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, as a devotee hears more and more about the Krishna, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in Srimad Bhagavad. Right? The message of personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if the topics regarding the Supreme God are discussed among devotees. It should be discussed among the devotees. Devotees are constantly engaged in Supreme Lord's service, and the Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who's engaged in Krishna consciousness, and give him the intelligence to understand the signs of Krishna in the association of devotees. Tadami Buddhi Yoga. Discussion of Krishna is very potent, and if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement towards spiritual realization. So hearing is very Tatshuno. Shunvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridendasta Badhrani Vidano Suhrilsan. So we have to hear about Krishna. From where? From the real source. Hearing from the right source is important. What will happen if we hear from a Mayavadi? Okay, you can raise your digital hand. What happens when you hear from Mayavadi? Yes, Lakshmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, if one hears from a Mayavadi, the facts and everything gets distorted, and our spiritual advancements also gets destroyed, and we deviate from the path of spiritual knowledge.
Yes. So that's why Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Bhashi Shunle Hoya Sarvanash. Everything gets destroyed. As Mataji said, yes, we fall down. And they are Krishna Aparadi, Mayavadi Krishna Aparadi. So there will be, Mayavadi Bhashi Sarvanash. Okay. So it will be like fall down. Okay. So we should not hear from Mayavadi. So we should hear from the right source. Then only it will work. And the true benefit of hearing about Krishna is spiritual advancement, that I want to hear more and more about Krishna, becomes enlightened, and it's a potent message. Message of the Lord is full of potency, and how to realize these potencies? By discussing among devotees, not by mental speculation. And Lord help us to understand, right? Krishna will help us. He sees the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who's engaged in Krishna consciousness, and give him the intelligence to understand Krishna. Like Krishna is telling Arjuna more confidential matters to encourage Arjuna in higher and higher elevation in his potent service. And then there is freedom from all misery. Okay. Karmana Manasagira Nikaleshapi Avasteshu Jivan Muktasa Uchite Bhaktirasam Sindhu says, even in the conditioned state of material existence, one can be considered liberated if one is sincerely engaged in trying to do devotional service to Krishna. So anyone engaged is a liberated person. Even though in the material body, he is still liberated. So just by hearing about Krishna, so many good things are happening. Like if some guest comes to your house, and if your house is dirty, the guest just look at it and then comments and won't be happy. But if a friend comes to your house, what does a friend do? Will start helping you to clean up the house. Now he'll just pull up the sleeve and start helping you. So that's how Krishna is. He's our friend. Suhridam Sarvadehina. So what he does, he says Paramatma, he will help us cleaning our heart of all the anarthas. But what should we do? We should be sincere, and we should start hearing about Krishna. We take some dirty water in a glass and you put it under the tap. Lot of clean water comes in. And then after some time, all the dirty water goes out and the glass will be full of. So, process of devotional service, and one's heart becomes cleansed of material contamination by doing, and one understands the signs of Krishna, and we get elevated to spiritual consciousness. One understands spiritual activity. Simply knowing that the living entity is not material is not sufficient. One must understand the difference between the activities of the body and spiritual activities. So Bhaktirasam Sindhu versus this Mataji. Haryasye Haryardasye Karmana Manasagira Nikileshapi Avasteshu Jivan Mukta Sauchyate. Okay, that verse is indicating a liberated soul, like a dry coconut. Even though inside the shell, it's not attached to the shell. Similarly, this is about pure devotee who is completely liberated. Even though in the material body, in the material world, he's still not at. Oh. So, non-envious is an important qualification. Anasuyave is a qualification to hear properly, because envy is misinterpretation. Right? So, high academic scholars will give inaccurate commentaries because they are envious of Krishna. And one who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is foolish. And the recommended approach is to avoid such commentaries. We should not read such commentaries. And on a bona fide commentary is only possible by a devotee. So we should follow from the devotee. And our Sampradaya is a Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So following that, because it's unbroken disciplic succession what we have. Right? So Prabhupada mentions here, it's a nice purport. Prabhupada mentions it's very important to hear Bhagavad Gita from the right source. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. Very important verse says Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam. It's very pure. Okay, this knowledge. Rajavidya is the king of knowledge, as a king of secrets. Right? Why it's called king of knowledge? Why is it king of knowledge? This confidential knowledge. Why is it Raja Vidya, king? Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Kanjan Mataji.
Mataji, it is essence of all doctrines and philosophy, and it is also the essence of all the Vedas, different kinds of philosophy. So it's the end of all the studies of Vedas.
Okay, so it's an end of all the knowledge. Okay, so that's what. Yeah, it was written by Vedavyas, the Lord himself. Yes, and it takes us back home, back to Godhead. Good. Yes, Lakshmi Mataji, what do you think? Lakshmi Nandit.
Mataji, like it is called as Raja Vidya because the king in a kingdom, if he is doing any good job or if he is taking any decisions, he just do not do it publicly. He do it very secretly for the welfare of the society. So it is a very high planned education, Mataji, so that it is like confidential.
Very nice. Yes. So in that way, and after knowing this, there's nothing more to know. Okay, like for example, like in some subject you take a PhD, and above that there's nothing. PhD is like the highest if it's in that field, particular field. Similarly, once you know this knowledge, there's nothing to know more about it, because it's the essence of all the philosophy, Rajavidya. And Rajavidya is a secret, right? As Mother said, yes, the king has to do something for the welfare. It has to be a secret thing. And so similarly, this is the secret for the devotees. How to reach back to Krishna. It's a kind of a secret. And it's pavitram, it's very pure. Krishna is also pure, no? Parabrahma Paramdhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, it said. So Krishna is pure. That's how, why we think that, oh, okay, if I touch Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or chant, touch my chanting beads during my menstrual periods, it's difficult. I mean, it's wrong that this. No, why? How it can be wrong? Because Krishna is pure. Krishna is pure. Krishna's holy name is pure. Krishna's Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita is so pure that nothing material can contaminate it. How much ever you try to put this diamond into any of the mud or any filthy place, in a cow's dung, cow dung or cow's urine, still diamond is diamond. It cannot, the purity doesn't get lost, right? Yes, Jyoti Mataji? I could not hear you.
Mataji, am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Mataji, I want to ask that can we water Tulsi during menses?
No. At least 2-3 days, just stay away from Tulsi Maharani. Don't do parikrama, because so much heat is there in the body that Tulsi Maharani might get affected. So she gets dried off. So those 3 days, if someone else is there to water the Tulsi at home, please let them do it. Okay? We're not supposed to.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so Pavitram, it's pure. Okay, pure. So nothing, no rules and regulations. Prabhupada gave Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, the chanting beads to the Americans. They don't even sometimes take bath, we know them, right? So, and once they become devotees, they do. But then initially it is difficult, getting up at Brahma Muhurta, taking a bath and all that. So just like that, Prabhupada's like, you don't even have to brush your teeth. Just get up and chant. At least you chant. Yes, because some people say, I have to read Bhagavad Gita on this particular day, this particular time, or pure, that, this. Then you'll never read. You always feel like, oh, I'm not pure enough. I have to take bath. Oh, I have to come do this, do this. Just excuses. All these are excuses. So just keep reading, because these are all transcendental literatures. Yes, Lakshmi Mataji?
Mataji, like morning before birth, can we touch Tulsi Mala and all, Mataji? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's what. Nothing, no. Actually, we should take bath and then do. But in case, if that's not possible, also no problem. Some people travels in train like 2-3 days. What will they do? And some people are in the hospital. It's actually, there is a, in Shishtashtaga, it says, Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti, Tatrarpida Niyamita Smaranena Kala. There's no niyama, fast rules and regulations. But as we advance, as we practice Krishna consciousness, it's always good to take bath and then do other japa and all that. And especially when you go to the washroom, especially when you go to pass stools and come, then you have to take bath and then touch the beads. Or when we enter the puja room, because many don't know that. But when we pass urine, then no problem. We can just do acham and wash our hands and legs and do. But otherwise, getting up from sleep, many people chant, no problem.
So during
That should not
periods,
stop you. Actually, there is no.
during periods also we can touch, Mataji. It's okay.
Some devotees, they do. Some Guru Maharaj really allows it. Some says, no, you should not do this. But our Guru Maharaj didn't say any rules and regulations. He was very merciful, because those times there's a lot of mood swings for Matajis, and it's better to always chant the holy name. Because sometimes always, so it depends on time, place, and circumstance. Like
So
when
is
we
that-
are in,
if we are not comfortable, is that okay if we do it and that beat we'll get no Mataji, electronic beat chanting?
that also can be done. Yes.
Okay.
In the clicker you can use it. Okay, it's up to, it's the individual thing.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you can use neem japa beads if you have on those days, or tulsi beads later. But our Guru Maharaj never said any rules like that. So you can touch. But see, when we are in LKG, UKG, there's no rules in exam and all. Somewhere we write the question mark, somewhere we write no margin, nothing. But as we advance, we know there is a margin. You should write like this. You should write in a paragraph. You should leave a line after every answer. Then the rules comes. Right? Slowly. In the board exam, there'll be a perfect rule. Like that, initially in Krishna consciousness, that's okay. We do that, do this. But as we advance, it's better to have cleanliness as a part of it. But it's okay if there's no rules as such. That's what, that's the glories of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that anybody can chant at any time, anywhere. Even in the bathroom, restroom, when the devotees go to take bath and all, they will be chanting. But don't take your beads there. That's offense. But otherwise, the tongue is there. You can always chant. So it's pure. Nothing can contaminate Krishna. And Uttamam, it's transcendental to darkness or ignorance of this world. Pratyaksha Vagamam. And sometimes there is no one in your house to cook bhog for Krishna, then you can't make them fast. No, if only one mother is there and the children and husband, and if nobody can cook, only you can cook, will you keep the Lord's fasting? No. You take bath and ask for forgiveness and cook and offer to Krishna. But if somebody else is there who can cook on those days, and you don't enter the kitchen. But whenever you're doing DT, you are in DT kitchen in the temple, then 3-4 days we don't enter the temple. And then you come into the kitchen. But you can go to the temple, just you don't do any service, you don't do the lamp, you don't do parikrama of Tulsi, you don't do anything related to deity worship, just stay away towards the back and attend the arti and all that. So that all the pujaris, let them do it. So in the temple, there's a standard, but at home, you can always do. So it's uttamam, it's transcendental to darkness or ignorance of this world. And pratyaksha vagam means it gives direct experience of the self by realization. It's dharmyam, it's the perfection of the religion, right? Service to the Lord. Susukam kartumave, it's very easily and joyfully performed. That's why even a child can take part in Bhakti Yoga. Right? It's very easy to perform. But avyayam and everlasting and eternal. So sometimes it is said Bhakti is easy as well as difficult. Easy at the same time difficult. Why? Who likes to comment on this? It's easy as well as difficult. Why is it said so? Yes, Manasi?
Yes, Mataji, it's difficult because we have to surrender everything to Krishna. Like we cannot do sense enjoyment and all. And we have to surrender everything to Krishna. So in one way, it's difficult also. We have to do seva to Krishna. So sometimes it's difficult, but it's easy also, because in the other types of yoga, you have to like in Ashtanga yoga, you have to be very strict. But in Bhakti yoga, it's very easy. Just chant the holy name. That's why it's easy.
Okay, so in that way, it is easy and as well as difficult. Yes. As she said, yes, surrendering, that's Sarvadharma Parityaja, that's very difficult to do, pure devotion, right? So with association of devotees, it's easy, right? And chanting the holy name, as she said, just chanting holy name, that's it, right? But then Okay. So, yeah, so that is one thing. Okay. So it's everlasting, eternal. And yes, so it's very easy to perform, but then it's very difficult in the sense to do pure bhakti, it's difficult. To do pure bhakti yoga, it's very difficult. Yeah, Manasvi, you can also post the attendance link.
Yes, Mataji.
Easy for one who loves Krishna, yeah, to determine. Difficult for those who are trapped in the material words. Yeah, so it is also said that if we are in Ragaraga Bhakti, or spontaneous devotional service, then it's easy to perform bhakti. Okay, and also is Rajavidya knowledge in the king of education. So knowledge, it's the king of education because it's the essence of all the philosophy and different philosophies, the essence of it. Like if you say there is all the philosophies are like milk and whatever is churned, the yogurt, and if you churn the butter, that's the essence of it. And Rajavidya most confidential because it talks about the eternal activities of the soul, and it's a confidential knowledge explaining about the soul as imperishable and immutable. It does not give positive information about the soul. Lack of complete knowledge leads to misconception of impersonalism. Soul is always active. And modern education system deals only with the external knowledge, right? Not about the internal knowledge. So 8 characteristics of knowledge of pure bhakti is mentioned here. It's pavitram idam uttamam, it's purest of all pure, right? And Padma Purana says, aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukam kramanaiva praliyate Vishnu bhakti radatmana. For those who are engaged in devotional service of Supreme Personality Godhead Hari, all sinful reactions, whether fructified or in stock, in a form of seed, is vanquished. So sinful activities can be in different stage. It can be phalam, that means fructified. It can be kutam, that is still sinful dispersion, feeling like doing the sin again and again. It can be bijam, that is sinful desires. So all the different stages of sin, and everything gets washed away just by doing devotional service. And it's pavitra, it's very pure. It says, Yesham Twandakatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Tvedandamokhanir Muktam Bhajante Mam Dridapridaha. So once all our papa is over, then you become purified, you can do bhakti. And it's uttamam, it's beyond all tamas. Devotional service is never contaminated by the modes, although sometimes devotees appear to be engaged like ordinary man, therefore devotional service is transcendental. And pratiksha vagama means in direct perception of the self. How one gets direct perception of self is by practicing devotional service in association of devotees, right? If one further helps in this mission, trying to broadcast the message, then one makes spiritual progress. That's what preaching is very important. By chanting Hare Krishna mantra without offense, one feels transcendental pleasure and gets purified quickly. That's called Shuddhana. Advancement irrespective of previous education and qualification. Prabhupada writes, Prakashascha Karmani Apyasad, means devotional service is very powerful. Simply by engaging, one becomes enlightened irrespective of qualification. Like how Narad Muni was a son of a maid servant and started serving the Bhakti Vedantas in his earlier life as a son of maid servant. And it's dharmyam, it's a perfection of all religions, the highest goal. It's dharmyam, pratiksha vakamam dharmyam. And Bhagavatam explains, Savai pumsa paro dharmo yedo bhaktira dokshije ahituki apratihataye atma suprasidati. The supreme occupation dharma of all of us is to do loving devotional service to Krishna. Such devotional service should be unmotivated, uninterrupted, completely satisfying the self. Right? Because Bhagavad Gita again says, Vedeshu yatneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pratishtam atteditat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upayati chatyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifice, undergoing austerity, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fructive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all this, and at the end, reaches the supreme eternal abode. So that's the potency of devotional service. So potent that without performing regular religious process, one can be raised to the highest perfection. Simply by associating with great acharyas, sadhu sangha is very important. Right? One who's in association with great acharyas, even if he's not educated and have not studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for self-realization. When Narad Muni was like that. He was just serving the Bhakti Vedantas, giving them some prasadam, taking their eminence, serving them. He also got transcendental message, this thing. Okay. So it's susukam. It's very easy to perform. The process of devotion is a very happy one. the positive engagement for the senses, Prabhupada writes. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord, or one can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of food offered to God, nice palatable dishes in every state devotional services, joyful. Right? It's very easy, no? Just have nice prasad, hear Harikatha, then chant the holy name, hear Kirtan, associate with devotees, do some service. It's very nice. And great sages like Sanat Kumara became great devotee by tasting the tulsi leaf offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. Does anyone know this pastime? When did they taste the tulsi? The four Kumaras. And they became devotees. Yes, Manasi, how did they do it?
Mataji, they do it when they were visiting Lord Vishnu and Jay and Vijay. The Dwarpalakas of Vishnu stopped them.
Yes. So, yes. So the Jaya and Vijay stopped them, right? So at that time and then that was in the 7th gate of Vaikunta. They wanted to meet the Lord. Till then they were Brahmavadis, the four Kumaras of Brahma. And then they went and Jaya Vijay stopped them. At that time there was a fight between them, in kind of verbal fight, and they were about to curse them, the four Kumaras. And then what happened? Lord Vishnu himself came out. So then the four Kumaras saw the Lord, so beautiful form, that then they started smelling and tasting the tulsi that's offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and they became great devotees. Yes, in every state, devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. Yeah, Prabhupada mentions that in the purport of Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Prabhupada's like, if you're so poor, then at least you can offer water to Krishna. A leaf, a flower, a fruit. Forget you don't have fruit at home. Flowers are available everywhere outside. You don't have flower, you don't have tulsi. Still, water is available in every house. Prabhupada, at least you can serve like that, serve Krishna in that way. So it's very easy to perform bhakti. Avyayam, it's eternally existing. It refutes the Mayavadi conception that as long as they are not liberated, they will continue their devotional service. But at the end, when they're liberated, they will become one with the God. That is Mayavadi concept. And also it says, Brahma Puda Prasannatma Nashochati Nakangshati Sama Sarveshu Bodeshu Matbhaktim Labade Param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service of me. Okay. So only by devotional service one can understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Evam prasanna manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogada Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Thus established in the modes of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So faith is very important, right? Faithlessness can not attain Krishna. You should have a lot of faith. Ado Shraddha. First is Shraddha. It's a very important factor in the path of Bhakti. That was 9.3 says same thing. So 9.2, Prabhupada gives a very long purport. Please read it when you have time. Ashraddhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartvani. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me or conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. So definition of that faith is the process of Krishna consciousness, like it's given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Simply by serving Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. Yada taror mula nishyanena ripyanti tat skanda bhujopasa. Pranopahara cha yatendriyanam tadaiva sarvahanam achyutecha. Like watering the root of the tree, satisfy the whole tree. Feeding the stomach, satisfy the all part of the body. Similarly, Krishna Bhakti karle sarva karma krida hoy. You do Krishna Bhakti, everything else is taken care. And how do you increase the faith? By associating with devotees, right? There are 3 types of Krishna conscious men based on the faith. One is the lowest. What is this people also called as? The lowest category. Okay, can unmute everyone. There are 3 levels, no? 3rd level, 2nd, and 1st. So what is the lowest level?
Mataji, Naradhama.
Kanishta. No, Naradhamas are those who don't surrender. These are people who surrenders, but their faith is low. They are called Kanishta Adhikari. Very good. Kanishtas. They have no good faith, no knowledge of scriptures. They easily fall down, but may officially be engaged in devotional service. They are devotees, but cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Like they come with hidden motives like Artha, Artha, Pijnani, Jitnyasu. So these are the 4 kinds of Kanishtas. Kanishtas are either they want wealth or the get away distress, inquisitive, all this is Kanishtas. What's the second level called as?
Madhyama Adhikari.
Madhyama Adhikari. Very good. So Madhyama Adhikari sees 4 things. Ishvara Tadadineshu Balisheshu Disasucha Prema Maitri Kripa Upeksha Yet Karyodi Samadhyama. So 4 things they see. They see Krishna, Ishvara, and what do? Prema. They love God. Then Tad Adineshu, they see the devotees, and Maitri, they make friendship with devotees. And they see Balisheshu, that means innocent people, and they preach to them. Kripa, they show the mercy. And Tad Disatchuja means envious people. They see the atheistic envious people and ignore them. Upeksha. So they have firm faith, but not very advanced in devotional scriptures, simply trying to follow by association and simplicity. And what's the highest level of devotee called as? The first level?
Uttama Adhikari.
Uttama
It's called
Adhikari.
Uttama Adhikari. So Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. So Uttama Adhikari have firm faith, well versed in devotional scriptures, no chance of fall down. But an Uttama Adhikari thinks everyone else is a devotee except him. So when he wants to preach, he has to come to Madhyama Adhikari level because he sees everyone Vaishnavas except him. That's how Uttama Adhikari is. So faith is the most important factor, right? We should have a lot of faith. Even after hearing about Krishna and excellence of devotional service, they think it to be simply eulogy. Even if supposedly engaged in devotional service, their faith is very little hope of perfection, and destiny of faithless is return to the path of birth and death. So accepted conclusion after reading Bhagavad Gita is like to give up all other engagement and adopt the service of Lord with full faith. So 9.4 to 10 is about the Aishwarya Jnana. Krishna's relationship with this world has been explained in Sloka 4 to 10. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachayham teshavastidam. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Why Krishna is saying this? All beings are in me, I am not in them. Can you raise your digital hand? Why is Krishna saying this? All beings are in me, I am not in them. Can you explain this sentence? Yes, Prafula Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Because
Yes.
Krishna is above all the 3 gunas.
Okay.
Therefore, not attached.
Okay. So all beings are in me. I am not in them. That's the question. Supriya Mataji.
Mataji. It means to say that all beings are dependent on him. He is not
Yes.
dependent on them.
Very
They
nice.
all are lying in
Yes.
the bead, in the form of beads around his neck,
Hmm.
and he is a common thread that is connecting them.
Okay. So in that way, yes, Krishna is Swarat, independent. Everyone else is depending on Krishna. Good. Lakshmi Mataji, what is the other way of telling it?
Mataji, like all those who surrender to his to surrender to him can perceive him, but those who are like atheist or anyone is covered by the illusion of Maya, so no, he cannot be perceived by them.
Okay. So that means he's aloof, no? He's aloof from everything. So all beings are in me, yes, and I'm not in them. But Krishna is in our heart as Paramatma, right? But then Krishna is aloof, as Mother says. Krishna is aloof, like he's not dependent on karma, or he's not bound by the 3 modes, as Mother said, yes, and he's not depending on us. He's aloof, right? In that way, Krishna is in us as Paramatma, but it's not attached to us. Okay, in that way. And here it is said, there's a nice example Prabhupada mentions. What is the analogy given in this puppet? Who knows? Or you should have the book with you. Just search the second para. What is given? Yes. Who can say the analogy that's given? That's an important Bhakti Shastri question. Anybody got? What is the analogy Prabhupada mentions? Yes, Kanjan Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, it is the example is given of a king.
Yeah.
King is the head. King heads of a government, which is but a manifestation of king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot accept the king is to be present in every department personally.
Yes. So Krishna, Prabhupada mentions this example. Yes, the king cannot be there in every department, but the king's energy is there. Similarly, Krishna cannot be personally there everywhere, but his energy is manifested everywhere. And still he is aloof. Okay, Prabhupada mentions here, I am everywhere and everything in me, but still I am aloof. Krishna is not depending on anyone and he is a witness, right? Yeah, there's one more thing given is the wind blowing. Yes, we can't see the wind is there everywhere. The sun is just one, but then it's shining on everyone. The sunshine is on everyone. Like you might be at home, but you can do online banking, you can do Google Pay and all that. How? Because your power is in your bank account. You may not be personally present in the bank, but then your energy or your authority is there in that account. You are the proprietor of that. Similarly, Krishna might be there in his Goloka, but this energy is there everywhere, right? His inconceivable oneness, that's called. So Krishna has completed his glorification of the most confidential knowledge. Now he is speaking from 4 to 10. He describes Achintya Beda Abeda Tattvam. That means simultaneously oneness and difference. So how are we simultaneously one with the Lord? What is this Achintya Beda Abeda Tattvam given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Yes, Supriya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Achintya Beda Abheda Tattva means simultaneously one in quality, but difference in quantity of the opulence what God has.
Yeah, so in quality, we are one with the Lord, and that means he is also Sachidananda, we are also Sachidananda. But in quantity, we are just a spark, right? A small one, yes. So in quality, we are one. So simultaneously, at the same time, we are one with the Lord and difference from the Lord. And Krishna explains this Achintya Beda Tattva, that is inconceivable oneness and difference in relationship with the material world, and thus gives Aishwarya Jnana, the knowledge of the opulence, okay, to stimulate our reverence and devotion. Because of his unique and supreme position in relation with the material creation, Lord Krishna is the supreme object of worship. Okay, and the Lord supports and pervades the entire universe through his energy. Right? Lord pervades the entire universe, Avyakta Murtina, in his unmanifested form. Right? And how will we be able to understand Krishna? Other Shri Krishna Namadi Napa Vedrahyam Indriye Sevan Mukhi Jihvado Swayam Eva Svaratyata. Bhakti Rasam Sindhu says the Lord's name, fame, quality, and pastimes. It cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who's engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance, Krishna is revealed. And the Lord is unmanifest to material senses, but can be perceived by one whose senses are purified by the practice of devotional service. Only way to see the Lord is to practice pure devotional service under proper guidance. Okay, and what is the qualification to see God? Prema jana chirita bhakti vilochanena sanda sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayandi yam shyama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So how will we see Krishna? By the ointment of love, right? Or then only can we see Krishna. So all beings are me. So once somebody asked Prabhupada, can you show God? And Prabhupada showed the sun. The sun and the moon is what of Krishna? Sun and the moon represents what?
Eyes.
Eyes of Krishna, right? And so that person is like, oh, Krishna has only eyes because you're showing only the eyes. But then Prabhupada's like, sometimes a dark cat comes to your room, okay? And there's power cut and it's a dark night, Amavasi. What will you see of the cat?
Only the eyes.
Why?
The eyes. The eyes.
Because they're
everything
Shining, sparkling eyes.
Because it is dark.
Yeah. So does that mean the cat doesn't have a body, tail, legs? No. We are in darkness. We are not. Once the power comes, once the light comes, you can see the whole cat. So Prabhupada's like, similarly, you are in darkness now of ignorance, of avidya. You won't be able to see Krishna, but you can see the eyes of Krishna, like how we see the eyes of the cat when we are in darkness. But once the light comes, or once the ajnana goes and jnana comes, the real knowledge and wisdom comes, or prema comes, then we'll be able to see Krishna, right? So Krishna says, all beings are in me. That means everything rests in Krishna. As Mataji said, Matta Paradanam Nani et Kinjita Stidan Dhananjaya Mai Sarvabitam Protram Sutre Manigana Iva, as the pearls strung on the necklace. So everything rests on Krishna. Entire cosmic manifestation is a combination of Krishna's energy, superior spiritual energy, or inferior material energy. And analogy is the sunshine can be spread everywhere, right? And all universes are resting in the sunshine. Similarly, all creation is resting in Krishna's energy. But Krishna says, I am not in them. He's aloof. Implies that the Lord is all by perceiveness, does not lose his personal existence. And it reveals that since God is all pervading, he has lost his personal existence. No, the king heads the department of the government, but he's present in every department by his energy. That's what Prabhupada mentions. Atava bahunaitena kim jnatena tava arjuna vistabhyadham vyaham idam krishnam ekam shena siddho jagat. Ekam shena is 1/4 of the energy supports this whole universe, right? Krishna says the entire universe is pervading by Krishna's energy. Nacha matstani bhutani pashyami yogamaishwaram bhuta brinnacha bhutosto mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I'm the maintainer of all the living entities, and although I'm everywhere, I'm not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. So Krishna is describing his inconceivable. He's like, I am creating, but I'm aloof from it. Krishna creates, but then nothing binds Krishna. He's aloof from all that. Okay. And then he's the maintainer. Eko bahunam yovidadikam, and he's the one who's maintaining everyone. Yoga Maishwaram. After explaining the previous text that all beings are rest in Krishna, Lord says the opposite, that I do not rest in him. This is contradictory. Okay. When the Ishopanishad Mantra 5 also says contradictory. Krishna walks, doesn't walk. Krishna far is far, he's near, all that. So in that way, the such contradictions things is there. That means he's personally aloof from the working of the universe. Nothing binds Krishna, no karma binds Krishna, right? But we are controlled by the three modes. This term describes the inconceivable mystic opulence of the Lord, that everything that is created does not rest in Krishna. Not like the Atlas that tired of holding the globe. How Krishna is aloof is examples of Krishna's inconceivable opulences, like the planetary system, the floating in the space. And space is the energy of the Lord, right? But he's different from the space. Krishna says he enters into every planet and gives them the energy, right? So the Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. And there's no difference between his mind and himself, because he's the absolute spirit. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it's not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something, simply by his will, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it's being done. So now again, Krishna is giving the analogy. Yatakashasthido nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tada sarvani bhutani matstani upadharaya. Understand that all the mighty wind blowing everywhere rest always in the sky. All created beings rest in me. So so we came from Krishna, we go back to Krishna. Analogy is the sky and the wind. Sky is the biggest manifestation to conceive. In that sky, wind is the biggest to conceive. So wind is great and it influences all the moments, but the wind is never beyond the sky. It's always subordinate to the sky. All wonderful cosmic manifestation compared here to the moment of the wind exists by the will of the Lord. So Lord is compared to the sky. Still the Lord is aloof, unaffected, just like the sky is aloof and not affected by the moment of the wind. So Prabhupada quotes here, the Lord's supreme will as ultimate control over wonderful material manifestation. Yet Vishavata Pavate. That is, it is out of fear of Krishna, it is said, the wind is blowing. Out of fear of Krishna, the sun and the moon rises. So it's said, under the supreme order, the superintendence of the Supreme Lord, the moon, the sun, and other great planets are moving. So Krishna gives an analogy to explain the Yoga Ishwaryam. Yachakshuresha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta suramurti rashisha teja yasyatnya brahmadi sambrata kala chakro govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. This is a description of moving of the sun. It is said that the sun is considered to be one of the eyes of the Supreme Lord, and it has an immense potency to diffuse heat and light. Still, it is moving in its prescribed orbit by the order and the supreme will of Govinda. Sarvabhudani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpa kshaye punastani kalpadav vishrajamyaham. O son of Kunti, at the end of millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So you've seen a spider. How does a spider makes its web? The cobweb, how does it do it? Anyone knows?
From its
Mataji,
saliva.
saliva.
From the mouth.
From its saliva, from the mouth, right? So the spider makes the cobweb with its saliva, and then it maintains it. And once it is done, once some flies trap into it, and then some spiders, it keeps like that, and we need to clean it up. But most of them, it is said that they takes it back. The spider takes back the cobweb. That means he creates it, he maintains it, and he destroys. Similarly, Krishna, does that mean the cobweb is not real? It's real. The spider is creating it. So the Mayavadis say, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, this world is false. How can it be false? Krishna created it, right? So Krishna creates it, he maintains it, and at the type of dissolution of Pralaya, after 4,27,000 years, he destroys everything, takes it back, right? We all goes inside Krishna, like if you're not liberated. And again, it comes back. During the breathing of Mahavishnu, when he inhales, all the planets go inside. That's dissolution. And then when he exhales, everything is getting created. So again and again, Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate, again and again, Krishna, after explaining his role in maintenance, explain his relationship with creation and destruction, under the will of the Supreme Lord, all material manifestations are automatically created and annihilated again and again. Krishna has to just glance. You don't have to do something. He's not like us. His senses are perfect. So he can just glance and creation can happen at the material nature. So at the end of the millennium means at the time of Brahma's death, all energy is wound up in the Lord himself. Because this he showed in the Vishwarupa also, universal form, the Kala Rupa, right? He showed everyone going inside the mouth of Krishna. That means he's showing the destruction is happening. Lord expands himself in material energy. Prabhupada quotes the Vedic aphorism saying that Vakushyam, I am become many. Bhagavad Gita refutes the modern concept of evolution, that there is gradual evolution of species. They say that man developed from one species to another. It's all refuted in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. All species of life are created, and immediately along with the universe at the beginning of creation, all were created, not like one species and then, no, it's not like that. If Krishna is as Parameshwara, is aloof, how does the material world continue? Supreme will is always present. Everything is definitely under the supreme will of the Lord. By his sweet will, he descends. He does his pastime because he enters as three Vishnus forms into the Mahat Tattva to create. Right? He does not himself create or destroy, but the material nature act. Krishna sanctions and the material nature acts, does it. Material nature is Krishna's energy, right? That's it. And Krishna is detached from everything. It implies Krishna has no direct involvement, but he acts through the material nature. Creation takes place to accommodate inclinations or desire of various living entities. So Krishna's neutrality towards material activities is mentioned in the 9.9 verse. Nacha mamtani karmani nipantadi dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmashu. Oh, Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So Krishna is neutral, right? Samoham sarvabhudeshu namedeshinasthina priya. Krishna is not partial to anyone, but he is partial to his devotees in the sense, that's not partiality, that is special care to the devotees. All the Lord creates and annihilates, but all this work cannot bind him. It implies that the Lord is not directly responsible for any good or evil thing done in this world. Krishna sanctions, but it's the soul who desires. So Krishna is neutral. Like a high court judge, you know, he gives a lot of decision, right? He gives a prison house for one person. He gives a small fine he leaves somebody free. So does that mean the high court judge is affected? He's doing his dharma. He's just doing his work, right? Duty. So Lord is always neutral in the material activities in the created world, and material activities is carried out by his different potencies. Still, he has control over every minute detail. Right? Scripture reference for Krishna's neutrality is Prabhupada quotes the Vedanta Sutra. Vaishamya Naigrihne Na. That means the Lord is transcendental to all material dualities based on the past deeds and desire living, and he takes different forms. Karanam Guna Sangasya. He's always involved in and he's eternal, blissful, and spiritual activities, but he doesn't have nothing to do with material activities. Krishna is transcendental. Maya Dikshena Prakriti Suyate Sachara Hetudanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So it is said, without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, material nature cannot do anything. Okay. You've seen, does anyone know the nipples on the goat's head? What is it? The nipples on the goat's head. Anyone heard about it? Yes, Manasi, what is it?
Yes, Mataji, like the nipples on the goat's head, it cannot bear milk. It cannot take out milk if you press on it. That is the analogy, Mataji.
Yeah, so that means it looks like a independent nipple, but then it doesn't give milk. So in the sense, material nature looks independent, but it's not actually independent. It depends on Krishna. Okay, so similarly, that's called that's like a fake nipple. It looks like a real nipple, but then no milk comes out of it. So similarly, material nature looks, oh, she's independently working. The sun is rising, the moon is setting, and all the seasons are changing. But who is actually doing it? It's Krishna. It looks like independent, but it's not independent. The Lord is neutral and aloof, and he simply sanctions the material energy. And management is done by material nature on behalf of the Lord. Lord is sanctioning it. Lord is the father, and the material nature is the mother. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasham brahma mahat yonir aham bija pradapita. It should be understood that all the species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in the material nature, that I am the seed-giving father. Lord glances by the species are decided based on the past deeds and desire of living entity. There's a this is a very important example for Bhakti Shastri question point of view. Fragrance of a flower. The fragrance of a flower touched by the smelling power of a person. Yet smelling and the flower is detached. There is a flower and there's a smell. You go smell it. But that smelling and the flower is separate. Similar connection is there between the material world and the Supreme Lord. It looks same, the flower and the smell, but still the smelling process and the flower, it's always detached. Okay, we'll have a quick breakout room. Explain in your own words Krishna's relationship with the material world with reference to the Sanskrit terms, Prabhupada's purports, and analogies from 9.4 to 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like 6 verses, or 7 verses, 4 to 10. We should take Krishna's relationship with the material world. Okay, how is Krishna related to this material world? I'll put it in the chat. Okay, explain in your own words Krishna's relationship with the material world, and you should use Sanskrit terms. Okay, go through all the part of the question. Sanskrit terms should be there. Go through Prabhupada's purports, and analogies also should be mentioned. Okay, we'll have a quick breakout room and come back. So let's see, put the question in the chat. Hi Krishna, Kanchan Mataji, Pampa Mataji, Rajat Prabhu, Samir Prabhu, please go to the breakout room. Hare Krishna. All are back.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay, so who's speaking from room number 3? Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare
Supriya.
Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. We discussed that the Lord maintains his neutral behavior in all the material activities in which he has created. And this quality is explained as Udasinavat. That means that he is neutral to all the material activities that is happening. And he's sitting as if he is neutral. And the analogy here explained here is of a high court judge who is sitting on his bench. And being a judge, he can order so many things. Like someone is being, so many things are happening around him. Like someone is being hanged, someone is put into jail, someone is given a huge amount of wealth. But whatever he is ordering to others, he is still neutral for the activities that is happening under his order, and he has nothing to gain and loss. So in this way, the Lord is also maintaining his neutral behavior with whatever activities that is happening with him. And there is one more analogy which is mentioned here is of a flower, a fragrance. A flower fragrance can be smelled by a person, but the process of smelling and the flower has nothing to do with that. So both are detached activity. In the same way, the Lord is also detached to all the activities that are happening under his guidance. Hare Krishna.
What about room number 2?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
We all discussed that Krishna is manifested in this material world. Still, he is stays aloof and neutral. Like in purport for in the purport of fourth shloka, it is given that Krishna is just as the sunshine over the sunshine spread all over the universe. The energy of the Lord spread all over the creation and everything that rests on him. And we cannot perceive by our gross material senses, only by the prema towards the Krishna we can perceive him in this material world. And in the 9.5 purport, it is given that he stays aloof from everything, but the whole creation is resting on him. The planetary systems are floating in this space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord, but he is different from the space. And in the 9.6, it is given that uh, everything is depending on him. Just everything is rest on him. Uh, uh, and one more analogy is there, like there is no superior energy. There is no other superior energy from Krishna. Everything rests on him, just as the beads rest on the string. And in 9.7, it is given that everything is created by him, and everything is maintained by him. And at the another beginning of the and everything is annihilated by him, just as the spider uh, creates his web, and at last the spider destroys it destroyed destroyed it destroyed it. And in 9.8, it is given that whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. Just as the and in 9.9, it is stated that and one more analogy is of high court judge. He is some for some he will be giving the punishment of jail, and some for some he is giving the he is giving award of some money. And And also for some time, for some criminals, he is giving death order, but still he remains the neutral. Similarly, the Krishna remains neutral, even though he created the whole material universe. He is exists in the material universe by his energies, and he stays aloof, just as the flower and the fragrance. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhupada. Detailed explanation given. Nice. Room number 1. Who is going to do? For room number 1. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Nirguna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Tarvam Jagat Avyakta Murtina. Entire universe is pervaded by me. Sarvani Bhutani Matsthani. All jivas are created by me. And Kalpakasya Punasthani Kalpado Visharajamya. At the end of the Yuga, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and I create all material manifestation at the start of the Yuga.
Yes.
And when there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person. Yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordains. I am everywhere and everything is in me, but still I am aloof. For example, of the king's energy, the different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power, but still one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. The crude example, similarly, all manifestation that we see and that exists both in this world and in the spiritual world. Anything,
You have network
that
issue?
crude example. Similarly, yeah.
Your voice is breaking. Everyone have problem. It's raining. I have.
Resting on the energy of the Supreme. Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm not getting you. Yogam Aishwaram, inconceivable mystic power. Am I right, Mataji?
Okay, no, it's
Hare
breaking.
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yeah, some points I heard, some were like breaking.
I can't hear you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, you told so many Sanskrit terms to indicate that Krishna is the supreme, and to show, so, and to show that Krishna's relationship with the material world. Okay, Sanskrit terms are used, and some team have given the analogy of High Court judge and all that. Very nice analogies.
Yeah.
And yes,
Thank you,
okay. So
Mataji.
from 4 to 10 has been explained. Yes, even I have network issues. Raining here, so all everybody has problem. No problem. Okay, so I'll put the open book question. Remind me once more, Mansvi, and so that I give the 7th and 8th chapter open book question. The first, this is second module of open book question 1. Okay, yeah. So we can end here. Any more discussion?
Mataji, it's Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Mataji, may I?
Yes.
Mataji, could you just explain about Mahavishnu again, about his breath and his relationship with the planets?
Yeah, so the three Mahavishnu is mainly the Karnadashai Vishnu, who is the cause of all the creation. So he lies in the Kaushal ocean and he creates. Some scripture says that through his glance creation happens. Sometimes it's there, he inhales and exhales. Sometimes there through the sweat pores. no, and the ocean on which he is lying, that is created from his own body. So Prabhupada says, when you sweat, little bit water come from your body as sweat. So when a conditioned soul can have so much of sweat, what about the Supreme Lord? Okay, so similarly, Mahavishnu is actually the Karnadashai Vishnu who is lying and to cause the creation. Now his relationship with the material world is, even though we do the creation, he's aloof from it, Mataji. But as Garbhodashai Vishnu, he enters into each planet and he caused the different universe and caused the 14 planetary system. And as Kshirodashai Vishnu, he becomes the Paramatma. Okay, so on the three forms, he acts.
And what about the breath? When he breathes, he accepts new planets. I'm not very sure.
What is?
When he breathes, what happens?
Yeah, so inhales and exhales. When he inhales, all the planetary system goes inside, and that is dissolution. You have partial dissolution, complete dissolution. And when he exhales, the creation happens. Okay? Yeah, Hare Krishna, Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji Pranam. I just wanted to ask that during menstruation, can we touch Bhagavad Gita, or should I read from Veda base?
No, you can do. You can read. No problem in read. You can read nothing. Yes, Manasi.
Okay, I can touch the book.
No rules like that.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji. Actually, this question is from our BB discussion. All the participants were asking. So, in the handbook, Mataji, on page number 40, this graph explanation is given. Bhagavad Gita 7.29 to 8.2. 7.29. Brahma Adhyatmam Karma 8.1 and 7.30 Adi Bhutam Adi Devam Adi Yajna Prayana Kale 8.2. So what does that mean?
What Adi Yajna? All there is a three. Yes, Adhyatmik, Adi Yajna and Adi Devik, right?
No, Mataji. In that some graph explanation is given that we cannot understand.
Graph.
Yeah, graph, Mataji.
It is given in the which sloka it is?
No, Mataji, it is in the handbook.
Oh, in the handbook. Okay, I'll go through that and then let you know. Okay, I have to
Okay,
read
Mataji.
that one. Yes, Lakshmi Mataji. What? I can't hear you. Hare Krishna. Can't hear you, Mataji. Can you all hear? I can't hear. Hare Krishna Mataji. Can you type? Put in the chat. Not able to hear. I think everyone have network problem. Okay. Kunti Suti? Any link? From verse 18 it starts. You want to hear it or in the YouTube? Okay. There was a Bhakti Sadachar class which I took on Kunti Stuti. It will be in YouTube. Okay. Let me see. It will be shared in the.
How many modules are there in Bhakti Sadachar course?
Yeah, there are 5 modules now. Now reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the prayers is going on. Yes, Lakshmi Mataji, any other question you have?
Mataji, I have a question. It is said that where the Lord Krishna resides, that place becomes a dham. But still, why we are advised to go and visit dhams and everything, the spiritual places?
What?
It is said that where Krishna resides, that place itself becomes Vrindavan or Param Dham. But still, why do we all go to dhams? Why do we all go to dhams and spiritual places, even if we say that?
Yeah, because see, wherever Krishna is there, that's dham. But then the potency of the real dham, that is Vrindavan and Mayapur, that cannot be ever compared. Because that's a place where Krishna walked with his barefoot. He ate the mud from that place and the pastime happened. and that place is not in this material world. So yes, dham can be created anywhere, but the pastime places happen there, and the dham is a place where 24 hours Hari Kirtan is going on, right? Bhajan is going on. So the potency, the spiritual potency in that real dham is much, much more than the dham which we see outside. So that's the real place. That's not a material place. It's a spiritual dham. So we can't live there and make offense. Instead, we go get our batteries charged for spiritual growth and then come back. So dham is because that's a place where Krishna personally was there. No, he's there everywhere, but he did his pastimes there. So it's very dear to him.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Okay.
Krishna. Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining. Vanchakalpadurubhascha kripasindhubhyo vijapatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo kodi vaishnavadiki jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.